get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top.
Yo, no, I ain't the type to give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want.
Hey guys, Coach Dan here. I'm a exercise and science degree holder. I'm a personal trainer and coach of over 10 years, and I've been training in gyms for 20 plus years. And today I'm going to go through my pull workout with you, or back and biceps, or however you'd like to express it. Now, what I'm particularly going to be going through today is how to train the different parts of your back, and even within that, how to train the different parts of your back. For example, the different parts of your lat to make sure you're hitting the whole lat, just in case to grow it all, we need to be hitting it from different angles: the lower lat, the upper back, training the different parts of that. So we're going to go through that today. We're going to go through the intensity that I like to train at, the volume that I train at, and techniques surrounding all these things. And yeah, so let's get into it. So we're going to start off today with a unique exercise. This is called a kneeling hammer strength row, or kneeling plate loaded row. The brand is Hammer Strength, and we'll go through why I use this as a lower lat exercise. So what essentially it is a plate loaded row variation where I'm going to take the handle and I'm going to kneel behind the machine, and I'm going to do it such that it angles down and targets the lower part of the lat. So how it looks is I'll grab a handle, get in here nice and close, kind of push myself away, and then get into this kind of position here. I'll switch legs actually. So we're here pulling down into that position there. So you can see, because the resistance is coming down here like that, or going against me like that, the target is going to be for the lower part of the lat. Later on in the workout, we've got a narrow row coming horizontally to target the upper lat. So we want this particular component for the lower lat. So you can see the exact angle and where this resistance is going is angling down there, and our lat is going down in that direction. So that's kind of what we're trying to focus on there. So we could do, if you didn't have an option like this, you could do a pull down from a cable machine where you kind of get your bench in there and you can angle it such that you're going in that direction. I'm a big fan of the plate loaded system for something like this in a muscle group like this, because what happens with plate loaded things is essentially when the weight is out there, directly out from this hinge, it's the hardest. And for this, that's going to be at the beginning, and then it gets easier and easier. When this is above that, it's the easiest. So not only has this got the potential to be really good for muscle growth, but if you ever train your back and you think, oh, like I can do a lot at the lengthened position, so we're out here, but I really can't finish it off, that kind of aids you because it gets easier as you go. So we're here, hardest, boom, get through that. As you get weaker, it gets easier, so it kind of allows you to keep going through that movement. So pro tip for me on this is going to be, make sure you use your wrist grips or wrist wraps to make sure we can just focus on pulling this part of our arm down into the pocket and not have to worry about our grip or anything like that. So I'll put those on as we build up in weight, and let's get this back workout started. Yes. Okay, our vertical pulling movement done with that kneeling hammer strength row. So although the setup on that looks very unusual, it feels very effective, I think, in combination with that angle hitting towards that lower lat, as well as the resistance being hard and then easier, works really well for a movement like that. Yeah, bit of a funky looking thing. I think one of the considerations is get your hand position right. Make sure as we pull down, if you're holding real high on the handle, it kind of looks like it's up here like that. We want to make sure we're lined up with the resistance really well. Now, if that exercise there is for the lower lats, because we're kind of coming down like this, this now becomes for the upper lats or the thoracic lats. So if you look at the lats as a muscle group, and you can see, if you've ever seen it on a model, you'll see that it kind of attaches to the front of your arm, runs underneath your armpit, like around your rib cage, some of it in towards the thoracic spine, some of it down towards the pelvis. So if we use that to target those lower lats and head down towards the pelvis, now I often put two movements, one for that and one for this, to tick all the boxes. Some people don't get too caught up in this, but I'm just making sure we're doing everything we can to maximize our muscle growth. So I've got this mag grip as well. It's got a slightly underhand, so we'll be taking that grip. We take it, feet on the pedals here. I like a slight lean forward, which just helps stretch out those lats that little bit more, and then almost pull that in towards your belly. So same idea with this one. As we row, we want to row directly against the resistance, so we line our arm up such that we're working directly against that. If you kind of pull up here, the resistance is coming from there, you're trying to pull up here, becomes a bit of a curl. So it's here, pull directly against the resistance, keep the elbow nice and close. Now, if one of the reasons I mentioned liking that plate loaded variation is because it goes from hard to easy, which kind of, it helps our strength curve as far as pulling movement goes. This doesn't do this because this is a cable machine, so it's pretty similar resistance throughout. So what you'll see me do towards the end of the set is what we call lengthen partials. So I'll kind of finish when I can no longer get it all the way into me. I'll keep pulling until I can get it to, say, my knee, and I've kind of used that as just a marker. There's nothing meaningful about the knee. I just kind of need a time or a distance that I can no longer do to call it the end of the set, right? So we'll go into our belly for as long as possible, then we'll go to our knee for as long as possible. When we can't get it to the knee anymore, set's done. So full range of motion into lengthen partials is how I kind of combat our resistance or our strength curve on this. And yeah, so far so good. Choose the handle that suits you. We got neutral, we got reverse. When it comes to lat training, that's something probably should have mentioned over there. We probably don't want our arms venturing too far away from our body. Our lat, as I mentioned, the anatomy kind of keeps close to our body and kind of pulls our arm back and around, or down and around, but it heads in towards the spine. So there's no real reason for your arm to go away from your body. And what that might start to do is incorporate the upper back a lot more, which there's nothing wrong with if you just want a good overall back exercise. For me, I want lat dominant because I've got upper back movements coming after this. So arm close to get lats. Let's go. right, a quick note on back training before we get into our next exercise. So I think the important thing to keep in mind is that when doing back training, it can be pretty difficult to focus on a particular muscle because you've got all these other things going. So like often what can happen when I first start training people is I'll feel their biceps a lot because they're almost just curling stuff. So with experience, you want to make sure it is such that it's the muscle that you're trying to target that becomes a limiting factor. So you're getting to the end of the set on your lat movements and your back movements, and you're feeling the back give out on you. If you get to the end of the set and you go, oh, I couldn't go anymore because my biceps were so jacked up, it's not that your lats haven't worked, because they have to pull your arm back, so they're going to contribute. But it's possible that they're not the limiting factor, which means they potentially haven't gone as close to failure as something like your biceps. So we use techniques such that we target the muscle and that muscle becomes a limiting factor. If your goal is bodybuilding, if you're just trying to lift as much weight as possible, go to town. But yeah, what that can sometimes mean with back movements, it's actually lighter, and that kind of seems counterintuitive. I'm using less weight, but we're targeting what we want. So that's just a quick note on back training. Now, we're going to do a bent over row next. Our next couple of movements are kind of more biased towards the upper back. We're going to use bent over row. Now, the reason I haven't used bent over row a lot in my training of recent times, I suppose you would say, is because there is just this element of kind of sitting in this position that's quite fatiguing. And programming wise, this comes after a lower body day. Now, it doesn't come after any like stiff-legged deadlifts or anything like that, but yesterday I did hamstring curls, did glute work, hip thrust. So like being in this position can sometimes be challenging, when the weight's decent. Not that I'm, like superhumanly strong, but that's just a consideration to keep in mind. Now, there is going to be a couple of things here that I'm going to do to kind of counteract that. And you can see I'm up against this wall, and that's going to be one of them. So I'm going to do a bent over row. You're seeing this in real time. I haven't tried this before. It's just an idea I just had, because I feel like there's going to be some value in the bent over row from the position of even just tracking progress. So like if you go from gym to gym, even like seated row to seated row to two different gyms, the friction of the machine can kind of mask your progression, whereas something like a bent over row, that's gravity all the time. So there is some potential to having this in and around your program, because I can then track progress always with this. I'm going to use a wall I'm going to have my butt on the wall for stability and just keep me stable and not let me cheat the movement. I think some people will just do this willy-nilly, and I don't have anything against it. I don't think it's going to be bad. It's going to make you need to lift heavier weight because you're using momentum and stuff like that, which is, again, it's probably not going to kill you, but I'm not about lifting the heaviest weight. I'm trying to make sure my muscle is taking that weight. The other thing is, just like mentioned before, our strength on a movement, or a pulling movement, a back movement, is usually we're going to be strongest at the beginning. So just like with that seated row, once I can no longer get it all the way into my belly or chestish area, I might do some half reps. And again, this is on the fly for me a little bit. So what I'm planning on doing, butt up against the wall, taking the bar, and then our bent over row, keeping my butt against the wall the whole time. So one more consideration that I'm going to make is either standing on something so I can go through a good range of motion, or I'll just use smaller weight plates to allow that larger range of motion, which I might lean towards that. All right, let's see how this goes. Again, this is on the fly. I'm going to see how it goes today, see how using this, see how my fatigue in my back and my hamstrings and my glutes goes holding this position, and then I can make a call going forward. All right, let's try the bent over row. All right, next up we have our chest supported row variation. So as far as that bent over row goes, I think the reason I potentially balk at doing it is, yeah, it's just holding an isometric contraction for lots of muscles while we're doing our rowing movement, and like that fatigue cost, like the isometric contraction in some of the muscles in your back, like, is that worthwhile? I'm just not certain about that. And I just don't think there's a lot of good information or research surrounding isometric contraction. So it's like, well, am I better off doing a chest supported row? Yeah, some people really love the bent over row. Some people, you know, don't like it. I think, yeah, until there's any sort of really good information out, I suppose I can only go off of my sensations, and that felt good. It feels effective. I feel some of the muscles I want to in my back. It's just that I have to kind of sit there and hold that position as well. So maybe I just stop being a little wussy about it. And keeping your butt on the wall really reduces the amount of weight that you can lift. You can't use heaps of momentum, which I don't think is a bad thing. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth a block of training to kind of see how I feel, to see if my lower body and like hamstrings and glutes and stuff like that back can hold that position, and then train lower body in 2 days time again with, I've got some belt squat, stiff legged deadlift. So it's all a bit of an experiment, isn't it? And that's part of the game. So we're going chest supported row now. This is now a plate loaded version. And again, good things about plate loaded versions is because they change resistance. So as you kind of get, depending on the machine, it can kind of get easier where you are weaker, allowing you to kind of finish movements. So essentially we reach over, we grab, I've got a neutral grip on this one just to mix it up from the bent over row. Let the shoulders roll forward around the chest pad, squeeze them at the back. So yeah, pretty good this one so far. It's got an unusual feel to it. I've had to really play around with the setup, and I don't know if I'm there yet, but I'm getting stronger at it, so that's a good sign. So in short, we've got a overhand bent over row, we've got a neutral grip this, both targeting the upper back from slightly different angles, different resistance and stuff like that. That's what I'm rolling with at the moment. Let's get it. All right, next up, rear delts, biceps to finish off. I'm going to do a superset with these because I do 5 sets total and I want to save a little bit of time. So I'm doing a single arm. So ironically, I say save a little bit of time, but I'm doing a single arm exercise. Anyway, I'm going to go a single arm rear delt pull across in this kind of movement here. And in front, I'm going to do a decline lying dumbbell curl. So I'll do one arm, curl, kind of jot down reps in between, kind of move between. I'm not going to set a time, rest time necessarily, but I know, this might take 30 to 45 seconds, 30 to 45, 30 to 45. So I know we're getting probably enough, like 1.5 to 2 minute rest per arm or like per rear delt, and for the bicep because I'm going to do both of these beforehand. So for my particular rear delt variation, I'm going to take opposite hand to this over here, and I'm going to turn away such that I get this big stretch in the rear delt. So you think about the rear delt's job, it's to kind of pull the arm across here like this because it attaches or inserts in the deltoid tuberosity, and the rear delt goes to the scapula or the spine of the scapula. So it's going to be able to pull your arm in this kind of direction pretty well. And to get a further stretch, as we've discussed many a time, potentially training in that stretch position has some value. So like a lot of your standard machine fly rear, there's one right here, machine fly rear delt combo machines where you can do this or adjust it and do this, they only get your arms to here. I want to get my arm all the way across here so we get that big stretch, and it feels really effective. So we're here, turn away into that kind of position there. So thinking while I'm doing this movement, pulling this across there like that into that position there. So I'll do left side, right side, come in front here, grab my dumbbells. Now this is, theoretically makes a lot of sense to do a bicep exercise like this because we get our arm into our bicep into a stretch position because it sinks behind the level of the body, as well as we go up against gravity sooner. So if you think about a standard dumbbell curl here, it's not going up against gravity till the elbow gets to about 90. Even your incline variations, which, I really quite like those, they still don't start to go up until well into the movement. Here, we're going to counteract that by going on the decline. So take dumbbells, lie down with them, big stretch in the bicep, and curl. Stretch, curl. So, makes a lot of sense to do an exercise like this bicep variation, and feels really effective to me. In times gone by, doing standard curl variations I haven't always felt my bicep very well, but starting to do this, I feel my bicep, I get soreness. So this is definitely a keeper for me, and I think definitely worth a try. It looks unusual, takes a bit of setup, lying down, blah, 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 instead of just grabbing a couple of dumbbells and going, and potentially it may not be, so much better than the other variations that look more conventional, but for me personally, it feels more effective, and I get all this feedback to say this is worth doing for me, so I keep doing it. Okay, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, that's a cap on the workout, guys. So all in all, pretty good. I think some of my weak points in my back would be like the lower part of my traps, having trouble with some of those pulling movements, feeling like the sort of retraction and depression of my scapula, so that's squeezing and squeezing down. So that's something to work on for me. So that's good. And yeah, I'm sort of like, oh, is this movement right or is it me? So I'm kind of figuring and working my way through those. This is week 3 of a fat loss phase. So we've come back from vacation, heading into a fat loss phase, maybe 8 to 12 weeks, get to a good body weight where I can spend a lot of time gaining weight and then go from there. So this week is my first week of early morning session. So this is a 3:30 a.m. wake up for a 4 a.m. start, getting into a new routine. Hopefully my body becomes more accustomed to it as time goes on. So I wake up feeling ready to go. A bit challenging, but that's kind of, to get it in, that's what it takes at the moment. So you've got to do what you got to do if you want your outcome enough, do you know what I mean? So it is early, but it's not unachievable. So to get it all in, got to finish here, go to work, video edit, work, and then the schedule fits this way, whereas before it was just all a bit crammed and hard to get everything in. All right, that's all I got for you. As always, hit the little subscribe up here if you're liking the content. It'd be much appreciated. Check out some of these other videos I've got on different muscle groups, and then I've got shorts as well for some little hints and tips. And as always, it's about progress over perfection. Coach Dan, signing off.